About a year and a half ago, we merged our company with a company in the UK called Dryad International to form Dryad Global. And we've been working over the past year and a half to merge their intelligence processes with our ARMS platform and delivery of that information. So it's not to us just about, oh, let's put a dot on the map and this is what's happening, you figure it out.
Hey, everybody. We are here for another episode of Boating Insider, and I am really excited about my guest today. So we have Corey Ranslem. Did I say the last name correctly?
Correct. Yep.
He is CEO of Dryad Global, and the first time we spoke, it took about 30 seconds for us to geek out about technology and security, Mother Ocean, aviation. We went quick. So I'm really excited. We're going to dive into what is Corey doing over here at Dryad? What is Dryad? And why is it important that we know about his company? So let's dive into it. Corey, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks. It's awesome. I always love to talk about what we're doing, what's happening in the maritime industry from a tech standpoint, security standpoint. I've been in it for 29 years, so I've seen a ton of changes and a ton of things happen. So it's always exciting to talk about it.
All right, so start there. How did you get involved in the maritime industry? And give us that rundown from when you started to where you are now.
Sure. So I grew up in the big maritime state of Iowa. A lot of rivers and lakes, had a lot of fun up there, and went to school. I started working actually in radio and television. I really enjoyed it, but I was just like, man, I just want to, break out and see more. And it was funny. I actually saw a special on the Discovery Channel about the U.S. Coast Guard. I knew nothing about the U.S. Coast Guard growing up in Iowa. And I'm like, wow, boats and law enforcement. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. So at 24, I enlisted in the Coast Guard. I went through boot camp. My whole family was surprised. I had a great job working in television at the time and just said, nope, I'm doing something different at 24. You can do that.
Absolutely.
So I enlisted in the Coast Guard, went to boot camp. I got stationed in Florida. When I left home, it was minus 10 degrees below zero. And I stepped off the plane here in Florida and it was 78 degrees. I called my mom and I said, I love you, but I am never leaving this place and this state because I hate winter. And so that was the start of my career. I spent 8 years in the Coast Guard. From there, I went to work for a large defense contractor, running a lot of their maritime business. And then from there, started my first maritime security company, where we were helping different facilities with regulatory compliance, Coast Guard and international security regulations. Sold that company off, and in 2013, my current business partner and I started a company to really look at being able to provide risk and threat information to vessels at sea, intelligence, what's happening, how is this going to affect us on our journey, where we're going. So we started this journey, and it was a very manual process at that time. Do the research, put a nice, pretty PDF together, and we were super frustrated because you give that to the client and the information's already old. Mm-hmm. Like aviation, the dynamics of what changes in maritime, it happens so quickly. So we said, there's got to be a better way to be able to get information, out there to the people that need it, because there were just old, antiquated systems that were just not working, and people were missing information, and, incidents were taking place, and seafarers were losing their lives over this just lack of information. So that's how we started to build our ARMS software platform. And it's a platform that provides shoreside ship managers and shipboard crews real-time risk intelligence. So it's all on a map. You can very easily call up a country, a maritime region, a port, and see what's happening. And the cool thing about it that I really like is we have just phenomenal intelligence analysts who are scattered all over the globe, who are able to answer a really important question for our clients is, why does this event matter to you? And that's a big deal for us, because some events that take place from a security or a geopolitical standpoint may not have an effect on a certain type of vessel, certain route, certain operation, but may have a much bigger effect on another type of vessel. So we really work to answer that question, specifically for our clients through our analysis. It's not to us just about, oh, let's put a dot on the map and this is what's happening, you figure it out. There's a lot of context that goes in behind, okay, why is this event that's happening important? So that's been really cool. About a year and a half ago, we merged our company with a company in the UK called Dryad International to form Dryad Global. And I took over as the CEO of the global company. And we've been working over the past year and a half to merge their intelligence processes with our arms platform and delivery of that information. It's been really interesting to see a kind of global team come together. And especially coming out of the pandemic, that was really interesting. You had people that were working from home that were scattered all over, people in some cases working out of offices. And how do you bring this global team together, with all of these moving parts? So it's been really interesting. From that perspective, it's been awesome. The people side of it is really cool. Now we're working through, the technology side of it, which obviously there's always challenges with that, but with a capable team, and I think we have one of the best teams in the world, we've been able to overcome a number of challenges, and also in the middle of that, launch new services. So we're in the middle of launching cybersecurity services, again, specifically for vessels. We really concentrate on providing information to vessels and the cybersecurity to vessels to help them, and then the managers and owners and charters and people that work with those vessels to help them make decisions. Cybersecurity is a huge threat, in our opinion, in the maritime industry. And so we think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And with a boat, you can't just take a solution, off the shelf that you could provide to, say, a bank or a hospital or the stock exchange. You can't just take that solution off the shelf and put it on a boat. You really have to understand how the vessel operates, what they're doing, and there's a number of constraints, including bandwidth. We're seeing a lot of changes in that with Starlink and some of the other companies that are providing much better bandwidth, but we still have a long way, to go. And so you have to develop tools that aren't going to starve the boat of bandwidth and cost a bunch of money just for connectivity. So there's a lot of nuances, that we're very familiar with when it comes to the shipboard cyber. So that's a really long answer to a very easy question of where we started and where we are today.
Well, there's some fantastic nuggets in there. So I do love the question the statement of there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
Because I think that, no matter where you are in life, if you can make that statement and give yourself the flexibility to think through what may be a great idea, what may not be, but just make your way through it. There's got to be a better way to do this. And that's gotten me and my partner a tremendous amount of success just in the software world of just asking that question and wait a second, there's got to be a better way. So
we do that all, sorry to interrupt, but we do that all the time, even with our current solutions. Is there a better way for us to do this?
Yeah.
We want to be as nimble and move as quickly as possible to get the best information to our clients, because our clients are making real-time decisions based on our intelligence and analysis of what may be happening in certain parts of the world. Some of our commercial clients have been trading, through the grain corridor that was established, from Ukraine outbound, in the Black Sea to Turkey and then to the rest of the world. We were, helping them by providing information on what was happening in that situation in real time, because the dynamics of that are changing almost hourly. And now we've seen, basically a suspension of that deal. So what's going to happen next? Can we still move ships through this area? And so people are making, pretty big decisions, based on the information that we're providing them. So we really take pride in, we sometimes call ourselves, your trusted kind of second first officer. We're there to be able to say, okay, here's the analysis of the situation of what's happening from where we see it, and really try to do the best job of that and give them the best information.
That's incredible. So one of the things I want to dive into is, you said vessels, right? There's different threats to different types of vessels. So I know that covers a huge spectrum, but can you give me some of the larger breakdown of what does that really mean?
So do you mean threats from the outside, what we do on the risk intelligence, or the cybersecurity?
Well, let's go this way first. I'll say, hey, I am a super yacht owner, or I'm the captain of a super yacht, and what are the threats that I need to be concerned about? Where would I use your support in a day-to-day situation versus, say, a cargo?
Sure.
A commercial cargo ship. So just curious, what are the different threats and how would those bleed over?
Sure. So from the super yacht perspective, there's a lot that factors into, how we take a look at this. What are the capabilities of the vessel? Where in the world is the vessel traveling? And what's kind of the makeup of potentially maybe who the owner is, how do they do what they do? And then from there, we can really help them look at, okay, here are some of the outside vulnerabilities that you may have when it comes to, specifically just the risk intelligence and provide them the information to help them make decisions. What we're seeing in the large yacht industry right now, I think is really interesting is, boats typically would spend the summer in the Med, come back through the US to get refit, repair, replenishment done, and then move on to the Caribbean for the winter. And the milk run. You just see that milk run back and forth. But what we're seeing right now is boats want to break out of that. Boats want to go to the South Pacific. They want to go to the Middle East. They want to go to different parts in the Indian Ocean. They want to go to Southeast Asia. I mean, there's a big swath of yacht owners and charters who are looking to get outside of the standard milk runs. So with that, for us, what the potential, risks are to the vessel change. And we're also changing the type of information that we provide. For us, it's no longer just about security information or geopolitics. We're adding, a comprehensive suite of weather data. We're looking at, medical epidemics and disease outbreaks. That affects yachts, cruise lines, cargo ships, as we saw during COVID. We're looking at potentially adding information on global environmental regulations. So we're looking to, exponentially expand the database of information that we have for our clients, because that will help them make the decision. If there's, say, a flu outbreak on a specific island or location, that large yacht or that cruise ship may say, hey, you know what? We don't want to expose our guests or our passengers to that. We're going to cancel that port call, or we're going to change that. And the sooner they have that information, the easier that decision-making is. So an example of that is we had a client a couple of years ago that was doing charter in the Mediterranean. They were near Italy, Greece, and there was a volcano on one of the islands that had erupted. And so we provided them information to say, hey, there's a major evacuation going on in this region, this island, because of an eruption. And we know that you guys are fairly close to that. And they immediately message us back to say, we were planning on actually taking our charter guests there within the next day or two.
Wow.
So they were able to, use that information. It wasn't a safety issue, but use that information then to kind of reroute the charter. And it didn't cause a big issue. Because you imagine if the vessel didn't know it, they pull up to the island, there's a big volcanic eruption, people are, leaving
panicking.
Now. It's a whole issue. So, that's a fairly benign issue. But there's other things where we see, people using weather to make informed decisions about where they want to go. Or, like I said, disease outbreaks or even the flu, to say, well, gosh, there's a huge outbreak of the flu in this location. Do we really want to expose our charter guests, to that? And we had an example of that with one of our clients that was down in Patagonia. They were going to be going to do a couple of landside excursions off the large yacht. And they saw the information on our platform about a potential disease outbreak in one of the areas that they were going to be passing through. They saw it ahead of time and said, we were able to make the decision, to be able to reroute. So for us, it's what's the best information that we can give our clients. And it is really different. Cargo lines, they're going to move cargo almost regardless of what's happening outside of a war or a major, security threat. So they're going to move. So we want to be able to give them the information about what's the best way to get in and out of this particular area. Whereas a large yacht or a cruise ship, they have the ability to say, hey, we're just not going to go there. So the sooner that we can get them the information to make that decision, that's also a cost savings for them. If a cruise ship knows, 3 or 4 days out that, hey, we may need to potentially cancel, this port visit, they might be able to slot in something else, and it's just a better experience for their passengers, same with the large yacht. So, we also kind of to understand that customer experience side to say, hey, this could help. It may not be a threat, but it's going to be a customer kind of experience thing as well. So.
Imagine if you had full control of your boat. You felt safer, eliminated the unknown, and you were able to forecast and plan for your boat's upcoming maintenance instead of being caught off guard. Can you imagine knowing exactly what is installed on your boat, down to the part and serial number on all of your standard and custom equipment at a moment's notice? Having instant access to your manuals while at dock or at sea, and provide custom departure checklists specifically for your boat and your crew. Imagine ensuring the safety of your vessels and passengers with instant access to send emergency alerts, and being able to ensure the value and the pedigree of your boat with digital logs recording the full history of every event on your boat. Well, you can with Vessel Vanguard. We are the leading maintenance and safety management software in the marine industry. We work with a wide range of marine industry experts, including yacht owners, captains, ferry, and tugboat operators. If you're looking to safeguard your assets and preserve your revenue, visit vesselvanguard.com and schedule a demonstration for yourself. The link can be found in the show notes below. We look forward to supporting you and your vessel soon.
So there's two things there, right? There's the information to make the best decision for your trip as the captain, as the engineer, as the owner. Then there's the cybersecurity. There's the risk side of things. So having the information. So my brain's going in two different directions. One is, what does that look like? Is that you sending a text message? Is that a notification being emailed? Hey, there's an alert on your Dryad Global app. What does that look like for a user's experience with the software?
Sure. So it's a little different from the shore side to the shipboard. The shipboard is set up on a platform where they can put, basically, we call it the alert radius, around the vessel from a mile out to 500 nautical miles. Anything that falls within that alert radius, they automatically get a visual and audible alert. So they know based on the map, is this important to me or is that? And then they can also use it for planning where they can look on the map and see, well, today I'm here, but in the next week, I'm going over there. What's happening? And be able to look at the information we have on the map. The other thing is that they also have reach back to our team and our intelligence analysts so they can say, hey, we see something happening over here. We're headed there. Can you guys give us more context on it? So there is on our side, it's not just, hey, look in the platform. That's all you have. We also have a team of people behind that to be able to help provide additional information to our clients where needed. And that's one of the things that, like I said, we really pride ourselves on is that touch of the clients to be able to say, okay, here's what's happening. And then for them to be able to reach back to us. So that's the shipboard platform. The shoreside platform is really an information portal. And the shoreside, what we see is shoreside managers, charter operators, people who are on the planning side are really using it as a planning tool. Okay. Hey, we've got vessels here today and they're going there tomorrow. What does that, routing look like? What do we need to pay attention to on that? So they're not necessarily looking at the real-time alerting like the boats are. They're using it more as a planning tool. And again, shoreside, just like shipboard, have that reach back capability. So they can say, hey, we're, looking to, to go to XYZ and we see these events are happening or this event is happening. Can you guys give us a little more context behind that so they can reach back to, to us as well. And for managers who have the shipboard version, there's encrypted communication between the two platforms. So a manager could send a message through our platform to the vessels that they manage that have our platform. So there's some encrypted communication and messaging capability, that they can use on it if there's stuff that they want their vessels to be alerted to. So it's not just, what we have. It's also, hey, these guys have information specific to their vessels and operations that they want to put out to their fleet, and they have the capability to do that. So that's a really kind of unique function when it comes to information, because we're not the end all be all. We're just one piece of the pie, to help them in gathering all this information.
It's incredible. You mentioned the team of your people, and one of the things that's always been successful in the businesses that I've been a part of and grown and sold and now building again, it's the people.
Yeah.
I love technology. You love technology. And right?
I'm a total geek. I know. We had that conversation yesterday. I totally geek out in tech. I mean, I have like 4 or 5 computer screens sitting on my desk. I had to get a bigger desk because I'm like, well, I need this because I'm doing this, or, like my Friday nights are very exciting.
Drag and drop to this one.
In front of a computer, like, oh, let me work on this. Can we do this? And, just all kind of tech geek stuff. Yes. And I'm a diver too, so I spend a lot of time underwater. But yeah, it's totally geeky.
Yes.
So.
But then you mentioned your team of people, and one of the things that we deployed a long time ago was 24/7 customer service, and we had great product, we had phenomenal technology, we had phenomenal security. This is on the aviation side of it. At the end of the day, I think one of the biggest reasons we were so successful was our people.
Yep.
And we were laughing about it in that we had a rule of the phone rings twice, and it rings on every single desk in this company, from our CEOs all the way across the board, right? So we would be in the kitchen mid-bite of a lunch room chat, and you hear the phone ring once, and then and people were jumping for the phone. And it was just part of it. So where are your people located? I'm assuming it's 24/7.
So yes, and our people, we have people all over the place. So we have right now 3 primary offices. Our headquarters is in the UK. If you can't tell by my accent, that's a joke that I use everywhere that I speak.
So funny.
Yeah. We're a British company, if you can tell by my accent. So our headquarters is in London. So we have people in the UK. We have people in Europe. We have people in the Middle East. We have people in Australia and the United States. So we also have an office in South Florida. And then our main kind of operations and our software development center is located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're in the process now of opening a couple of additional offices, more to come on that in different parts of the world. So we really work to have people in areas of the world, not only to have a 24-hour operation and be able to service clients, but they also have that expertise. I have a great understanding just of being in this business for, 29 years now, of what's happening globally. But if you have people that are on the ground and actually can provide that local or regional context to what's happening, that makes a huge difference. And in today's, world, we can very easily have a connected, distributed workforce.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So if I ever go to Iowa, I'll reach out to you and so
I still have family. I still have family up there. I visit twice a year in July and then unfortunately in December, but mom's like, everybody has to be home for Christmas.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm the one that's dressed so you can only see this. It may be like 40 degrees out and they're all in t-shirts and shorts. And I'm like, nope, Florida guy
You're
here.
full-blown Florida now.
Totally like, yep, this is cold. And when I go to London, I mean, it's nice over there, but I'm going in the next month. It's going to be chilly and rainy. It's going to be like winter to me. It'll be in the 40s and 50s. And I'll be like, oh, this is too cold. No, I can't. So I'll suffer for the few weeks I'm over there. So.
All right, so you have the team, and then so you have some new services that I believe you all are getting ready to unveil. Is that September, October?
Yeah, September, October, and then beyond. Primarily in cybersecurity, we're launching a whole new suite of services specifically for vessels and to be able to provide a comprehensive suite of services to protect a vessel. And we've
From what?
Different cyber threats.
Okay.
So there's I think 159 some thousand known threats and vulnerabilities in the cyber world. So what we're looking to do is to be able to provide the best, endpoint protection that we can for our clients for all the devices that are on board. We've seen that grown, exponentially on board large yachts, especially as everything's controlled by, a phone, an iPad, or a computer. And then all the guests bring those devices on. So we need to be able to help them protect the networks and operations because everything in the movement of information is just happening rapidly. Like in aviation, is everybody wants to be connected to their system to get that maintenance information so we know before there's an issue, with an engine or hydraulic.
So you can make the best decisions possible.
Yep, absolutely.
Keep that airplane flying.
Yep, and that's the same with the large yachts and cruise ships and now cargo lines is that connectivity. So we have to, work to protect that. And then there's a really unique way to be able to do that. So we've been working probably for the better part of 4 years on trying to find the best suite of solutions specifically for vessels. There's a couple of great partners that we're working with. So we're very excited about, this rollout. We're rolling it out first into the large yacht industry, and then from there into the cruise and the cargo industry. So we're pretty excited about, I think, some major changes that we're going to be able to make that are going to be easy. Everything for us in maritime, it has to be, when it comes to especially cyber, is low touch. It can't require the captain or the chief engineer, the ETO on board to say, okay, you've got to do all this configuration and all of this. We have a system that basically we can remotely install and we can remotely configure and work with them on remote monitoring and alerting. So there's very little touch that they have to do. There's no training for any of their people because we can handle everything, through our security operations center on the back end. So we don't want to add more to what a large yacht crew or what a cruise line crew or a cargo crew has to do because they're already overworked. Yeah. We want the yacht crew to be able to concentrate on being able to provide the best experience to the owner and guests. So let us take care of the cyber and some of these security things on the back end and be able to give you the information, make the decision, and work with you through that process.
So would you say the two types of cybersecurity? One, what's the number one thing that you're seeing your customers aware of and come to you for the support? They know that this is a risk, they know it's a threat, and they're coming to you for that support. So your current customers and why they came to you. Two, people who are not customers with you yet that they don't know is a risk to them?
So the first question is very interesting because it's really varied. Like we see still one of the biggest threats, specifically in the large yacht industry, is a ransomware. And not a ransomware threat to where the data's hijacked, although we have seen that. We're still seeing ransomware that results in a man-in-the-middle attack where funds are diverted, to, the hacker's account. So that's still a big issue that we're seeing. So we have clients, that we're working with to put the protections in place to be able to really stop that. I think over the coming months and years, we're going to see that transition to the hackers, hijacking data on board vessels like they do, in other industries. That's coming. I mean, we know that in the large yacht industry. So, that's something that's coming. So we're, working ahead of that to say, okay, how do we put the protection in place to be able to hopefully stop that? But if we can't stop it, how do we recover from that? Because, paying the ransom does nothing. You're not going to get your data back. You're just going to, in the United States, it's actually a felony to do that. You can't pay the ransom. So we want to work to say, okay, how do we get it so that you can immediately recover and get your systems back online and operational as quickly as possible? So we work kind of on that side as well. So that's kind of the existing. The people that don't know about us, that's kind of, I think, a broad question because it's, what services do you need? So the services we may provide to a large yacht based on how they're designed, engineered, and set up are going to be different than potentially a cargo ship or a cruise line. Because you look at a cargo vessel and they have a pretty connected system. So you have, systems running on board the cargo vessel that may be connected to systems back to the management company, back to fleet operations. So you really need a comprehensive solution to look at, not just the shipboard, but something that will have, protection to the shoreside operations, as we've seen in one of the biggest, issues in the maritime industry and cargo came through a shoreside system, through a third-party vendor that basically shut the shipping company down. And it was, pretty interesting to see that. So you have to have a fairly connected system, and same with cruise lines. You're looking at, okay, we have all these operations on board the cruise ship, but we also have to have connectivity and that security between the shoreside and the shipboard. So it's a little different across the board. And with our partners, I think we do a really good job of being able to provide, some of those solutions. And a lot of it, when you get into it, even with the large yachts, they're really custom because every boat, everything, there's certain things, that are the same when you look at kind of the design. But when you get on board, there's a ton of differences.
Right. So coming from aviation, right, where we're talking about, okay, so this type of manufacturer, this type of aircraft has this, and the other, just like all 20 of them behind it.
Right.
Not in the marine.
No, because you build a yacht and typically that's a custom build. There's some yacht builders out there who build phenomenal yachts that are, not custom builds. But even then, how I'm going to set up my IT infrastructure and systems on board, even on a yacht that may be the same as what my neighbor has, is going to be completely different.
But it's still personality driven.
Right. How do I want this? What's the connectivity that I need? Is this going to be for charter or am I using this primarily to conduct business? And how are the networks set up and who needs connectivity to what? And then you get to a cruise ship and you're talking about that's a city. It's a floating city of 4 or 5 or 6 or some 8,000 people on board. So how do you provide this connectivity and security, across the board in a cargo ship? There's big potential ramifications to some of the cyber threats in, the global shipping industry and the supply chain and what could potentially, happen. It's pretty interesting. And I don't think people consider it. We make our orders and we get our, our packages and our deliveries and stuff that we want. But there's a pretty complex chain of events that happens to get that, to your door. And it involves aviation, it involves maritime, it involves truck, it involves rail. It's a really complicated system, to get that little widget that you've bought online and you have to have, sometimes halfway around the world. So there's a lot of complexity that goes into that. And any interruption of that could cost a ton of money.
Yeah. I think about in aviation, there's always a talk of connectivity and do all the systems talk and maybe they should all be from one provider. And the awareness of that actually leaves you very vulnerable, because if you just take one kink in the armor and you are now wide open for any number of risks. And if you don't have something in place to protect you, I mean, it could get really bad, especially when you have your high profile individuals that are flying from here to there or boating from here to there. So I think it's fascinating. I want you to talk a little bit about Monaco and what you've got coming up, because outside of what you're doing in your business, which I have so many other questions. Obviously, I want to partner with you. But what are you doing in Monaco? We share some circles of similar people.
Sure.
I spoke with Norma. We were talking a lot about, she's just amazing and everywhere. And mentorship, volunteer was one of her big words. She was like, volunteer, volunteer, volunteer.
Yeah.
So
Norma is an awesome advocate for this industry because she understands more about this industry than I think most people, because she spent time, on board, as yacht crew. She's, run very successful shoreside businesses. Norma is one of those people. And I've known her for a long time. She's always been my go-to, like, hey, Norma, I have a question about this. When I first got into the industry, who do I call? Oh, I have to call Norma because she knows. And
what's her tagline? Something like ask Norma anything.
She's great in that respect, but she is a huge advocate for the industry, not only for the businesses like ours that, support vessels, but also for the crew on board vessel to be able to, she's just a great resource. Mm-hmm. So anytime you can talk to Norma and ask a question about something is absolutely phenomenal.
She makes you want to be a part and make things greater. Like you just want to allow, whatever you're doing, I want to help you in that regard.
Yeah.
But so what are you volunteering and how are you being a part of this on the...
So in Monaco specifically, we're going to be involved with 3 other companies in a seminar that we call Smart Bridges. So as we're making this evolution in maritime, like happened to aviation, where we're going to the glass cockpit, right? I mean, everything is going, pretty much computerized, and it's interesting to see the changes. So we're putting a seminar together with 3 other companies, with Telemar, with Intellian, and another company that's still kind of secret that we'll have to mention during the show. But it's really interesting to talk about what does that smart bridge look like. Not only what does it look like, from a hardware and a connectivity and a security piece, but what are the training and the regulatory compliance implications? So our seminar is going to be part of the International Super Yacht Society Educational Forum on Wednesday afternoon at Monaco. So it's going to be really cool to be able to talk about that and what this looks like, be able to interact with the audience, give them the opportunity to ask questions.
Fantastic.
As we're the technology experts, and be able to say, hey, here's where it's going. Because, in yachting like aviation and maritime like aviation, there's always a regulatory compliance piece to that, especially in the cyber side, is what's the regulatory compliance. When you're talking about the navigation systems, there's regulatory compliance for flag state, of how you have to do this, how people have to be trained. So there's a number of nuances, to that. You don't just jump in the cockpit and say, all right,
here we go.
I'm ready to drive the plane. I'm ready to drive the boat. There's a lot of training, to be able to get to that point, to be able to do that. So we're really excited with our partners and being able to,
educate and best practices, I would think. I mean, implementation and adoption is a big part of it too.
So we're excited about the seminar. We're going to be with some of our other partners talking about cybersecurity, a number of client meetings, while we're there. Monaco's always, really busy and kind of starts the fall show season in the large yacht industry. So it's always a lot of fun to be there. We're going to be 2 weeks before, we're going to be at a big cargo conference in London where we're going to be hosting a seminar with our partners at Norton Rose Fulbright, which is just a phenomenal maritime law firm. They do more than maritime, but we're partnered on the maritime side, where we're going to be talking about the AI and the future of AI and how that's going to impact us in maritime. So we're really looking at seminars to say what's the biggest impact to help, whether it's our large yacht clients, commercial and cruise clients. So it's a busy September for us and a lot of travel. So
you've got product release. You've got 2 big conferences that kick off the boat show season.
Yep.
Obviously coming off of a really successful merger with Dryad Global.
Yep.
You have a lot going on. So
we're kind of busy, maybe so.
All right. So you're going to be in Monaco. We will definitely drop your website. Where can people find you if they have further questions?
Sure. So the best way is through our website. We have a lot of connectivity. You can message us through this site. All of our emails, phone, contact information is up there. That's the really the best way, to get a hold of us if there's certain questions.
And if they mention Boating Insider podcast, did they get like a free chocolate or?
I mean, I'll buy them a drink in Monaco or Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, if you mention the podcast, and so you're going to tell me, we have millions of viewers worldwide, and the tab in Monaco is going to be like $20,000. Hey, good job! Oh, they'll be so pleased with me on the budget side with that. Yeah,
I'll see if I can make that happen. Well, super, super grateful. I would definitely want to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, absolutely.
People, if you're going to Monaco, I think that's going to be an incredible seminar. My brain is already taking it all around it. I think it's just going to be really, really important. I did it for a long time in aviation, doing it here in the marine industry, bringing technology and efficiencies into a antiquated workflow era. So see what we can do. And then you're going to, are you going to be at Fort Lauderdale Boat Show? I'm assuming you'll be here?
Yeah, I'll be here. So we'll be in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, it's just a busy fall. It starts basically on the 8th of September, and we don't stop till Thanksgiving.
Perfect. I love it. Super grateful. Anything else that you want to leave with?
No. Thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. I love doing this. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, the energy, sometimes you do this and it's just like, okay, when is this going to end? But this has been a lot of fun. Thanks.
Well, we'll keep the conversation going. Really excited for what you're doing, and I'm really grateful for you. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in for Boating Insider. Check out Dryad Global. Check out Corey. Good things coming, and we'll talk to you next time.